Hello, my name is Rebecca Schaefer, and today I'll be walking you through the Gogold 2.0 online platform. Before we get started, I'm just going to go over a couple of frequently asked questions about the platform. Sometimes girls have an issue where their project isn't auto-saving, and in order to combat this, we are recommending that girls use the latest version of Chrome, Edge, Firefox, or Safari. Clear your browser history, cache, and cookies, and then refresh Gogold. My pro tip is that if you are worried about autosaving not work, type your answers in a document, so if they're lost, you can just copy and paste them into Gogold, and you won't lose any work if Gogold doesn't autosave. If you forget your password, there is a forgot password link, or you can email mygoldaward@gshpa.org to request a new password. If you're having other technical issues, email gogoldonline@girlscouts.org for GSUSA's technical support, and make sure to CC GSHPA's email, which is mygoldaward@gshpa.org, to keep us informed on what's going on. Now I'm going to hop onto the Gogold platform and show you what it's all about. Here you can see the Gogold platform. I'm using Google Chrome to access it, and the website is gogold.girlscouts.org. It will take you right to the sign-in page where if you don't have an account, you can hit create an account, and it will take you to selecting the prerequisites that you've completed. And if you do have an account, you can go ahead and log in. So now Gogold is taking me to my dashboard where you can see that based on these check marks, I've already completed a couple steps. This incomplete circle means that I've started step 4, but I haven't completed it. And all of these little I symbols mean that these steps are view only. I have to complete the previous step before I can move on to the next step. I'm going to jump into step 1. As you can see here, step 1 and 2 are both optional, but I highly recommend them for girls who are just starting to think about their Gold Award projects. Step 1 is where you can really start to explore what issue you're interested in addressing with your project. So in this step, you can select as many issues as you care about and as you want, because GSHPA does not receive your answers in step 1. This is purely to help you figure out what you want to do for your Gold Award. You can select who you'd like to help and where you'd like to complete your project, what your strengths and talents are, how you'd like to address the issue. Usually this auto-populates with issues, and then there's a summary. And if at any point you are having issues or problems, like you can see issues didn't auto-populate, go ahead and refresh the page and see it worked now. So sometimes all it takes is just a refresh of the page to get it to work. And then Gogold will summarize your interests and issues that you selected. You can add any issues that you care about, and then you can kind of explain what issues you want to explore further. And again, this is not for council to review, it's just for your use. And then we'll go into step 2. And step 2 is the investigate step. So here you can create a mind map about the issues that you selected. So you can edit any of these text bubbles, you can add little branch offs, you can type your ideas here, and you can also save your mind map. So Gogold will only save one mind map for you in the platform at a time. So if you're planning on brainstorming multiple ideas, I highly recommend clicking this download button. It will save it to your desktop, and then you can delete your mind map and start a new one. And once you've done your mind map, you can start researching your issues. So explore the organizations or people who have knowledge of your issue's root cause, interview an expert, And once you finish that, you can click I'm finished. And this is where you continue to step 3, which is something that will appear on your proposal. Step 3 is building your team. And for your project, you need at least a project advisor and 1 teammate, although we recommend having at least 3 teammates for the best project. So as you can see here, I just entered some information for a hypothetical project advisor. So this is someone that you want it to be an expert on the topic of your project, someone who is not a troop leader and not a parent or guardian, not a family member, someone from the outside, maybe someone who works for an organization that you're going to partner with on your Gold Award. And you want to enter their correct email address because Gogold will require their verification of your project before it can be submitted to the council. And then you also will enter in your team members here. So I've entered in one already. And you want to make sure you put in what role they have. And like I said, the best projects have at least 3 team members. And as best you can, your team members should be people who aren't your family or Girl Scouts. You need to reach out into the community and find people to help you who maybe aren't people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis. And once you've built your team, you can continue to step 4. And this is actually putting together your proposal. So as you can see, I've put in a Gold Award title, the proposed start date, and the proposed end date. I've planned for a year to work on my project. Most projects can take anywhere from a year to 2 or 3 years. Some projects take less time, but because of the time requirements for the Gold Award, we highly recommend giving yourself at least a year to work on your project. This is where you want to pick the themes of your project. So these are the themes of what your project will address. So if you're doing something with children, teaching them something, it would be education and children's issues. You can pick the issue you're addressing and describe it. And as you can see here, these text boxes have up to 2,000 words. So it's important to keep in mind that this is not 1 or 2 sentences. This is at least a paragraph, ideally more, to demonstrate that you've done your research and you really know what you're going to do for your Gold Award. And then this is just a short answer. So these are kind of, you just add a list, and those don't have to be long. The root cause of your issue is the why behind your issue, which is what you were mind mapping in the brainstorming section. So you, again, 2,000 words, at least a paragraph, ideally more for this section. And then I will address the root cause by is actually what you're going to do for your project. So this is where you want to include what your project is, how you're going to execute it, and be as detailed as possible so that staff who are evaluating your proposal know what your project is before your interview. This is where you input who your target audience is again. So if you are doing something for children, it could be children at XYZ elementary school, children in XYZ community. If you're doing something with the homeless, you could say homeless in York, PA. And it could also be, York, PA high schools. Maybe you're doing a program for the homeless, but then you're also educating high schoolers about the issue of homelessness. So that's where you would put that in here. And then you're going to input what they will gain, and you can add as many as you like, and then how you'll know that they gain these skills or knowledge. And then we go into some of the requirements for Gold Award. So the global or national link, explaining how your project has that. There's a great example. Gogold provides really nice examples for each of these. So read through the examples and then explain what your project's global or national link is. Again, measurability is an important aspect of your Gold Award. Here's an example of a Gold Award with measurable goals. And so you want to add the measurement, what they'll learn, how you'll measure the impact, and when they'll measure the impact. And keep in mind that you want these measurable things to be tangible. So something like people will smile more, people will be happier, is not really something that you can measure. So it's important to think about how you'll measure the impact of your project quantitatively. And you'll add that measurement in here, and then you'll enter the goals for your project. And a great way to format your goals is as SMART goals. So SMART, specific, be as specific as possible. Make sure your goals are measurable, like we just talked about. Achievable. Make sure it's something that you can actually do in the time frame that you've given yourself. Realistic, kind of again the same thing, something that you can actually achieve. And then timely. So make sure you say how long you expect this to take, at what point in your project will you be measuring this, because you can have multiple goals and multiple impacts that can occur throughout your project. So maybe halfway you've achieved this goal. At the end, you've achieved these additional goals. And then we go into sustainability. So as you can see, sustainability is having a plan, someone agreeing to continue your gold award, or creating materials to be used as a resource and or to continue to engage others with your issue. And as you can see, it's not continuing your project yourself or hoping someone else will. It's not a structure, a fundraiser, or a collection drive. Here's an example of Alyssa's Gold Award project, which we've been following through these examples. So now you'll want to detail how your project will be sustained. And if you have a vague idea of XYZ organization will be continuing my project, or I'm hoping that XYZ organization will be continuing my project, and I'm going to make sure that they execute it by doing these things throughout my project, or if your project is advocacy, you could say that you're hoping to make this impact, and if you fail to advocate for this thing, then you're going to ensure that there's a sustainability in another way. You can enter in a timeline of your project. So obviously, this is just a rough estimate of how long each aspect of your project will take, and you'll want to put it in here. An approximate date, what you're going to do, who it will help you, the resources you need, and how many hours of work it will be. And this is approximate, so you don't have to have exact dates of your work. You can go weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how much time you're planning on putting into your project every month. But keep in mind, you should have a minimum of 80 hours, and that should be reflected in this proposal. And then you'll want to add in your expenses. So as you can see here, I've included a couple expenses, snacks, paper for printing, and then if your project doesn't have any expenses, you still need to enter in an amount. So just say 0, nothing, no need of funding. If you do need funding for your project, which is reasonable because gold awards are very expensive and sometimes they have expenses, you just want to make sure that you detail what you're going to spend, what you're spending it on, and then how you're going to get that funding. And GSHPA has more information about fundraising on our website. But just keep in mind that going into your proposal interview, you should have a good idea of how you're going to fundraise for your project. And then GSHPA staff can help you the rest of the way. This is the strengths, talents, and skills that you are going to put into action that you already have. And then the new skills that you're going to develop through your Gold Award. So your Gold Award is not only a project to support your community, but it's also a project for your own personal growth. And then this is talking about how you're going to tell the world about your project. And as you can see here, Gogold notes that this is not about your project's sustainability. And these three that I've selected at the top are kind of passive sharing methods. And the best projects have a mix of passive and active sharing in order to tell the world in the best way possible and reach the most people. So keep in mind when you're doing your project that you want it to be both active and passive sharing. And as you can see, because I left some fields blank, it's not even letting me say that I'm finished. So this is the step that I'm going to end on. if you click on the hamburger menu in the top left corner, you can go back to your dashboard, which has a list of all of the steps. And I'll walk you through the present your plan step. Obviously, it's going to be view only because I didn't complete step 4. So this is where you go through your proposal checklist to make sure you've completed each step. You confirm that your council is Girl Scouts in the Heart of Pennsylvania, and you upload any additional files if you need them. You can download your proposal to preview it to see what GSHPA staff will see. And then you have to request verification from your troop leader and project advisor. And your proposal will not be submitted to GSHPA until you get your verifications. So make sure that, again, you have the proper email address for everyone and you send them a reminder if you don't hear back. And once they verified it, you can go ahead and send to council. You send it in an email, so you can update the email if you want, but it's not required. The template email is perfectly fine, and your project proposal will be automatically attached. And your project is submitted when you click this button. It is not submitted before that. If you don't click this button, we will not receive your project proposal. And once you submit your project proposal, if you don't hear something for more than 3 days, go ahead and reach out to my Gold Award at gshpa.org and just make sure that we received your proposal. So once you've submitted your proposal and you've received approval from GSHPA staff after your Gold Award interview, that's when you start working on your project. So you start to take action. You can track your progress in step 6 and you can track it here. So as you're working through your proposal, you should add the time. And as you can see, I added some time for working on my proposal. This is just made up. You should be as exact as possible. Because this demonstrates how much work you've put into your project, and this is what tells us if you've gotten the minimum of 80 hours. I'm going to go back to the dashboard and show you step 6, which talks about that a little bit as well. So step 6 is, again, carrying out your project. So as you can see, my time from the time log from the menu auto-filled into this step. So I can't enter time here because I don't have an approved proposal, but I can enter time here for my planning. This is where you add any income for your project. So if you are doing fundraising, you will track it here. And this is where you add your project expenses. So as you spend money on your project, input it here. And your experience log is a really great tool. Add pictures as you're working on your project, and they will be automatically included with your project proposal so GSHPA staff can see photo evidence of what you've done. You can also include videos from YouTube, photos, and it will all be included in your final report. Don't worry if something gets uploaded upside down or sideways, it's totally fine. And then when you're finished with your final report or with your project, this is the summary. And then you go into your final report. So this is the experiences you've shared, your income, how you plan to meet your project costs, the project expenses, etc. And I'm going to take us back to the dashboard so we can view step 7, which is the final report. Step 7 is actually once you've totally completed your project, going into your final report. So you can update your title if need be, and your actual start date and your actual finish date, which will probably be slightly different from what you put in your project proposal. If you need to change the themes of your project, you can do that here. You should talk about the issue that your project addressed. This is what you inputted from your proposal. It will autofill, but then if there's something you would like to change or update, you can do that here. Again, this is something you already did in step 4, but then you'll want to talk about how you address your root cause here. You can confirm or update the target audiences you reached through your Gold Award. So you can change these or you can add more if you reach more people than you thought you would. You can review or update how you measured your project success, so these measurement tools. And then this is where your goals were. And then share if or how you reached your goals and what your results were. And then the skills, knowledge, or attitudes your target audience gained. And how you know they gained those skills or knowledge. How your Gold Award is sustained, what your global or national link was, and then how you educated or inspired through your project. It's important to acknowledge any obstacles that you encountered with your Gold Award and then how you overcame them, or maybe you didn't overcome them, and you can talk about how you reached an obstacle where you didn't think that there was a way around it, so you changed your project a little bit to have the same impact a little bit of a different way, and talk about that here. The skills that you put into action, how you demonstrated leadership, and leadership is so important for Gold Award. If you're not leading a team, your project proposal will probably not be approved. So here is where you really want to talk about how you demonstrated leadership for your Gold Award, who you led, how you led them, and what you learned about leading them. The successes and things that you might change for your Gold Award, and then the outcomes. You can upload any additional files. You should have all of your photos in the experience log, but if you don't, or if you need to update or upload, PDFs or something, you can do that here. Preview your final report. You need your project advisor's verification again. And then you could submit it to GSHPA again to review your final report. You can update the email if you want. You can CC yourself if you'd like, but it's all not required. And your final report is submitted again when you click this button, not prior. And once you've submitted your final report, you should hear from GSHPA staff within 3 to 4 days. If you don't, just send mygoldaward@gshpa.org a quick email and let them know. And then you can also click here to see some benefits of the Gold Award and an explanation of the National Gold Award Girl Scout campaign by GSUSA. Just a note, if you need help or have some questions, you can click here. And if you need to update your proposal or your profile, you can do all of that here. You can add a profile photo, info. You can update your council information, including your troop leaders information and the prerequisites that you completed. Before you create an account, you have to complete the prerequisites. But if you remember that you did it on a different date than you thought, you can always change that here. And then if you make any changes to this section, just make sure you click Save. So that is the Gold Award, or the Gogold Platform. I am going to take us back to the PowerPoint. All right, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about the Gogold Platform or encounter any issues when you're using it, go ahead and email mygoldaward@gshpa.org. GSHPA staff will get back to you as quickly as possible with an answer or direct you to someone at GSUSA who can resolve any technical issues that you have. If you have any more questions about Gold Award, please visit our website where there is a ton of information and resources for girls and troop leaders about the Gold Award. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you have a great day.